آروم آروم شعله بر جان فکند، آروم آروم مهرت همچون کمند. برگردنم حلقه زد، آتش به جان و دل زد. تموم شده صبر من، دستم بگیر جان من. در حسرت روی تو، از تمنای تو. عمرم به سر شد ببین، پرده ز رویت فکن. مردم از هجرت، از غم رویت. سوخت ببین عاشق تو، از فراق تو. مردم از هجرت، از غم رویت. سوخت ببین عاشق تو، از فراق تو. از فراق تو، از فراق تو. از فراق تو، از فراق تو. از فراق تو، از فراق تو.
Non-organic beings. Muhammad Ali Taheri. Foreword. God created people and set us on the challenging path of the riaJ world to return complete and aware. Throughout our path, people need awareness to face and overcome the elements of test that has been set before us. Without true perception and understanding of these elements, humankind will incur losses that will affect even future generations. Among these elements, there is a type of beings that, despite their constant encounters with human life, remains largely unidentified and is introduced in this book as non-organic beings. Today, the consequences of non-organic beings possessing individuals' minds, Zehn, have caused a pandemic of mentaJ problems across the world. Due to the lack of knowledge about these beings, and because we lack preventive measures and means of relief from these illness-causing agents' possession, mental disorders have increased. This book contains considered and relevant theories about non-organic beings, and summarizes the last 3 decades' clinical trials in hopes that, with further research in scientific and mentaJ institutions, we can relieve a considerable 1 trillion of humankind's suffering. In addition, this book develops the appropriate understanding and worldview to prevent humankind from making mistakes that put our physical and spiritual life at risk, both as individuals and as a society. Therefore, this book attempts to explain the role of non-organic beings and prevent disorders they cause, increase motivation for rightful and camouflage-oriented life, and avoidance of any interactions with these beings. Increase attention to the teachings of divine religions. The next volume will present more comprehensive and thorough views and solutions offering relief from possession by non-organic beings and recovery from disorders it causes for further research and application by medical practitioners, primarily psychiatrists and psychologists. Wishing you divine grace. Muhammad Ali Taheri. Chapter 1. Types of non-organic beings. Non-organic beings are living beings without the live structural components of plants, animals, and humankind, cells, mineral, organic matter, and naturally are not visible. But each type plays a significant role in human life. The inevitable effects of these beings on a person make it impossible to deny their existence, but their concealed role makes identifying them difficult. This book calls the 2 main types of non-organic beings type and type B. Their common factor is the ability to possess people's minds so as to cause annoyance, illness, and influence their decision-making. Today, many people struggle against complications and disorders resulting from these beings' interference in their external affairs, social affairs, and internal affairs, the human mind's management of cells and body's activities, perceptions, and decision-making. Despite this predicament's increasing intensity, The current lack of understanding about the role of these beings has not permitted us to seek preventive measures. Therefore, humankind's well-being and aspirations have remained in jeopardy. 1. Non-organic beings. Type A. Research into this type of non-organic being zone requires a study of their general and particular characteristics along with familiarity with their relation to the devil, as that is often questioned. Differences and similarities of type A and the devil type A non-organic beings and Satan or the devil are often mistaken for one another. Some people think of them as one and believe that Satan is a type A being, is a factor in temptation who is also called the devil. There are many diverse theories, one of which this book explores and studies. Zehn this viewpoint. Type A are divine agents, like angels, created with a particular role in the order of the world of existence. Although angels have no free will in playing their role, these beings can decide whether to play theirs. Angels are constituents and laws of existence. They create the backdrop for human beings' presence, trial, and maturity in the world of duality. In this experience, many elements facilitate human trial and maturity. One of these elements is type A non-organic beings, any divine agent that causes temptation and attraction as a challenge and test for humankind to facilitate our development and growth on the path to Kamal can be considered an element of fire too. Without this fire, humankind would be left raw and malleable, and with no resistance and opposing forces on our path, our Kamal would be meaningless. Humankind is constantly faced with internal and external fire elements. Internal fire is the collective Kamal preventive factors, anti-Kamal, selves, 8, each of which can be called a Satan, who is a manifestation of the devil, Telvilais. The external fire elements we encounter are type of non-organic beings that play their role in 7 different categories. On the basis of their tasks, most of them can also be called Satan. As a fire element challenging humankind, the devil is a type A non-organic being. Yet as a divine agent who, following a pre-designed plan, played its role in drawing Adam to the scene of challenge and maturity, he can also be considered an angel. Creation manifests precise and specific planning fulfilled by angels, laws of existence. In the cycle of the world of duality, every angel has a specific function that ends at a precise position in Adam's return to the final point of the cycle. In other words, in our return route, Adam triumphs over angels 3 laws, one after the other at specific points of the cycle. The observer at the final point of the cycle, which is in a time-free state 4, observes the entire process at once. However, before the OB server can triumph over the dominance of time, the truth of this journey can only be seen gradually and in fragments. Among these divine agents, only the devil's role continues through the end of the cycle. Adam will not dominate the devil. That is, the devil does not bow to Adam until the last point in the cycle. This phenomenon occurs because the devil is this cycle's element of duality. Without duality, good and evil, and free will, Adam's choice and growth in the direction of Kamal would be meaningless. Considering this essential factor, the truth of the story of the creation 9 of Adam and the devil's disobedience becomes apparent. It would be a mistake to consider the devil's refusal to bow to Adam as outside the plan of creation and the devil as a superpower that defied the creator's will and caused duality. It would be a mistake to think that the devil imposed his will on the creator, causing duality. That would be a mistake, because it would set the devil as ultimate evil against God as ultimate good, which is an obvious shirk one. Based on divine wisdom, creating the cycle of the world of duality required a duality factor, angel that runs the law of duality, and the devil took this role. So although not bowing to Adam may seem like the devil's rebellion against the plan of creation, it is in fact in accordance with the plan. Without disobedience, there would have been no duality. However, the story most obviously demonstrates that arrogance and defiance caused the devil to be exiled from the world of unity. That lesson holds for the entire journey of the cycle of duality. Like the devil, who descended from the world of unity to the world of duality, humankind's arrogance would distance us from unity and drive us to multiplicity. If humankind does not recognize that thinking, I am better than he, was what distanced the devil from unity, we will pass through the entire cycle with the same pride and arrogance and see ourselves as higher than God. In this case, in the last test of the cycle, a person will still prefer himself to God and thus fail the test and not experience heaven in unity. In this segment of duality, each person has numerous manifestations of the devil that can be considered his inner Satans. Essentially, considering the duality cycle as a whole, we see Adam continue ally, opposed by the devil. Given the numerous manifestations of Adam and the devil, people are repeatedly opposed by inner Satans, each of which is types of non-organic beings, an indestructible pan of our being. Yet if an individual can control and manage these inner Satans and harness them, he will be on the path to Kamal. Therefore, these inner Satans, anti-Kama selves, are contributing factors to humankind's maturity and growth. It is because of these anti-Kamal selves that humankind can go astray from the path of Kamal. It is because of these anti-Kama selves that we can commit an offense for the sake of our children, wealth, and comfort, or grabbing opportunities. Our interests are our external motives, but it is the inner anti-Kama selves that create attachment to them, tempt us toward rebellion, and are the inner possibilities of these acts. It is these inner Satan's voice that drive us to negative thoughts, actions, A11D feelings. However, type A beings, manifesting divine wisdom and justice through 7 different tasks, are external factors that test humankind. General characteristics of type A non-organic beings in universal ecology. Numerous beings exist, each serving a specific purpose. One such type exists in the natural life on the earth and plays its role in the physical part of humankind's life. The other is designed to contribute to the quality of humankind's life. Each type has a distinct purpose in humankind's aspirations and on our path to Kamal. Each person must navigate and track his path to Kamal, despite all obstacles, and type A can be considered part of the setting and backdrop of our path to Kamal. Therefore, this type of non-organic beings has predefined roles in humankind's journey toward Kamal. They are invisible, non-physical beings capable of revealing themselves in any form they choose to an individual under suitable circumstances when the individual creates the basis. Like humankind, these beings male, die, and have intelligence. However, one of the most important differences between them and humankind is that they do not benefit from step of love outcomes such as enthusiasm, happiness, astonishment, kindness, sacrifice, and intuition. Therefore, unlike humankind who is created and designed for an immense transformation in the world of duality, eventually attaining an actual state from a potential state, that is, reaching onity, these beings were created to experience no such huge transformation. Like other life forms, they can experience only limited change within their defined life framework. Their intelligent processing is limited to decision-making within the scope of their role in the material world. In the physical world, each being bears a consciousness that can be CA.LJ. Its intelligence, the intelligence of an atom, is the background, setting of its existence. An ant has its own form of intelligence, too. But an ant has not only background intelligence, but also vital and instinctual intelligences that facilitate a life based on instincts. 1. Type A. Non-organic beings also have intelligence. Apart from background, vital, and instinctive logic intelligences, they also possess logic intelligence that enables them to make conscious decisions. This intelligence is not at the same level of humankind's free will, but it separates them from other beings possessing only lower-level intelligences. Type A beings process data to the extent that they can plan how to complete their tasks. Their understanding of what humankind knows does not result from their own data processing and intellectual analysis, but often comes from people. Their knowledge of matters and events of which people are unaware results from their ability to very rapidly pair in different locations. These beings also lack the ultramind awareness threshold, never becoming inspired. Therefore, they cannot be creative or innovative. These abilities are acquired only on the step of love, to which these beings have no access. In other words, type A beings do not have the ability to penetrate into supreme consciousness, divine knowledge, because they do not need to access such level of awareness to play their predefined role. In type A beings, psychological structure is different from that of humankind. The human psyche, psychological body, has 2 sections, instinctive psyche and emotional psyche, while all other living beings possess only instinctive psyche. For instance, if a rat's food is put in a glass box where the rat can see but not reach it, the rat will suffer depression after a period of unsuccessful struggle to reach the food. This psychological reaction in animals, sadness, stress, anxiety, that can also lead to psychosomatic disorders derives from their instinctive psyche. Plants also have instinctive psyche. For instance, When cattle begin eating grass on one side of a field, grass on the other side becomes bitter. This process is not a conscious process but occurs naturally and instinctively. In addition to this instinctive psyche, human psyche has an emotional psyche element that responds to mental data processing. One mentaJ is a person's perception of events and behaviors that he encounters affect his emotional psyche and determine its reactions. But type A non-organic beings, like AU beings other than humankind, have no emotional psyche. The lifespan of type A beings varies up to several hundred years, depending on their role. They reproduce, and their relationship with their children is like that of animals. That is, the child is dependent upon the mother for survival for a period of time and is on its own thereafter. These beings' mating rules are also similar to those of animals, making monogamy or polygamy irrelevant. Unlike humankind, who find marriage significant in the path of Kamal, type A non-organic beings mate simply in response to their sexual urge and instinctive inclinations. Humankind's libido has not only an instinctive basis, but also a mental processing base. The intensity of this drive and its timing depend upon such processing and are manageable. However, in type A beings, this drive emerges from no such processing and is not selective. These beings, usually a category of these beings in charge of tempting humankind, can mate with human beings. Type A beings feed from a form of energy and are more dilute than physical matter. Although they can become visible by changing their vibration frequency, make physical contact, and even move objects, they need neither physical food nor physical objects. They obtain their energy from nature, but if they possess a human being, they can feed from his chakras and energy transformers. This process harms the infected individual because over time his organs and tissues suffer deficient vital force, eventually causing illness in the affected areas. In such cases, alternative therapies such as acupuncture, cupping, or venesection have provided short-term solutions by causing type A beings to temporarily leave the energy channels. Non-organic beings are not compatible with the magnet IC field of metals, needles, or blades, and these or similar methods rid the energy channels of these viruses for a period of time. Yuzu Ale about 6 months. Table 1 describes similarities and differences between type A non-organic viruses and HW mankind. Categories of type A non-organic beings based on their role. Type A non-organic beings play at least 7 distinct roles as categorized below. A1, Universe Keepers A1, Trial Keepers A3, Direct Ion Keepers A4, Wisdom Keepers A-S, Retribution Keepers A6, Spell Keepers A1, Captivation Keepers. Universe Keepers. This category of non-organic beings is called Universe Keepers because they guard the material world. Every element of existence is an emanation, a manifestation, a name, and an image of its creator, and is thus sacred. In response to desecration of any part of the universe, Universe Keepers attack the offender and penetrate his mind. This system leads to the development and maturity of humankind. Violation of an element of the universe has many dimensions, including the unnecessary breaking of a tree branch, or disrespecting a person in any way, such as false accusation or passing judgment on someone in their absence. Nature's sacredness is such that humankind cannot destroy it to fulfill their natural needs. Humankind can benefit from nature based on natural laws and principles while respecting the ecosystem and its biodiversity. This phenomenon has an optimal level without going to extremes. For instance, it is natural to feed upon other beings based on the ecosystem food chain. However, that natural law does not permit humankind to hunt and take an animal's life for their amusement and pleasure. If one slaughters a sheep to feed the poor or those in need, that act remains within the boundaries of the food chain. However, if one kills a sheep for a ritual or a superstitious notion of obtaining health or prosperity by the sacrifice, that act constitutes a desecration to the material world. And Universe Keepers then take action. When Universe Keepers intervene, they attack the offender, capture his mind, and cause various mental, psychological, and physical disorders. For instance, they use the individual's vital energy and cause illness over time. Additionally, and in the boundaries of their free will, Universe Keepers can plan the manner in which they take control over the individual's free will or cause any sort of distress. They consider his interests and inclinations and cause him appropriate suffering. For instance, If hygiene is significant to him, they will cause him obsessive-compulsive cleaning disorder. Alternatively, they may infuse a false and persistent fear, phobia, hallucination, and other disorders that are discussed in Chapter 2 of this book. Human perceptions and our level of awareness of our own unjustness are not defining factors of this retribution. Even if someone commits an injustice without being aware of the precise definition of the word, he will encounter this category of non-organic beings because recognizing good and evil is in human nature. And he knows without being told or taught that breaking a tree is wrong. 2. Trial keepers. This category of type A non-organic beings are responsible for establishing test conditions for humankind. They reveal the strength or weakness of the faith of two groups, those who claim to have faith in the truth and those who take pride in their faith and ability to control their desire. Great people of faith like prophets constantly encountered this category of non-organic beings who offer them help, power, wealth, and other temptations to test their faith. Often people who are confident and proud of their chastity encounter such beings in the form of an attractive person that will attempt to seduce them to test that chastity. Certain individuals value contact with a saint or spiritual person who appears in a very graceful manner. Generally, the individual becomes greatly influenced by this being, riaJ, a trial keeper, who becomes the center of his trust and faith. The individual considers the emergence of the trial keeper as a result of his faith and therefore begins attracting people toward himself, thus breaking the agreement of move directly toward him. The moment a person feels religious arrogance and pride in having strong faith, trial keepers become involved. Often, contrary to some individuals' confidence in their own faith, trial keepers' involvement reveals the weakness of their beliefs. Satan's role is to use this weakness of faith and create diversion. The individual's diversion of attention and submission results from his weakness because following a trial keeper is choosing to be its slave. Some individuals not only rely on trial keepers, but also create a spiritual explanation and justification for their choice. The basis and the manner of triage keepers' challenges are unforeseeable because they can create test circumstances in different ways. In the journey of life, humankind encounters many natural tests. But tests created by trial keepers are not for ordinary people, but for those who are taking the path of Kamal, growing faith, or are confident at any level of faith they possess. 3. Direction keepers. Humankind needs direction to find a route that leads him to Kamal. If this course is not set to a straight path toward God, and humankind puts his hope, trust, and faith in anything or anyone besides God, he is lost. In this case, he is in shirk. He reveres a source other than God, and has broken the agreement of we seek help for each and everything, only and absolutely from you. When humankind deviates from the straight path to God, a category of type A non-organic beings called direction keepers attack and intervene. This attack can occur without the individual noticing it, hiding the cause of his discomfort and annoyance. For instance, individuals who have strayed from the straight path suffer from depression and psychological disorders instead of feeling peace and contentment that result from God's presence. During the circular walk around Kaaba and the Hajj pilgrimage, a pilgrim's direction should not be diverted to the left or right. This religious practice conveys a message and a lesson: the importance of constantly looking straight toward God with no diversion. His lesson is important because people who have not set their course aligned with this straight path remain outside divine protection and are vulnerable to harm. Even the slightest shirk results in an encounter with direction keepers and the torment they cause. The degree of shirk and its repetition determines the severity of this torment. They enter when a person opens the gate and remain even after the gate doses, but a person with a constantly open gate remains in greater distress. A person's inner fire element, inner Satan, continuously leads him to anything other than God. Therefore, if its means of deception are not recognized and controlled, it will cause deviation from the straight path and open the gate for direction keepers' intervention. Thus, a person falls into torment caused by his own unawareness. 4. Wisdom keepers. Wisdom keepers are a category of type A non-organic beings who play a role in managing divine wisdom. God attributes a person's guidance and depravity to himself. The main law that manages divine wisdom is the law of reflection 1, and its basis is an individual's inner yearnings and desi. The divine agents that fulfill humankind's negative inner yearnings by their intervention and cause deviation are called wisdom keepers. Individuals with an inclination for negativity attract wisdom keeper. As a fire element, wisdom keepers play their role and answer the individual's inner desire for negativity. On the one hand, they create conditions that lead humankind to depravity, and on the other hand, they impel us to say and to do things that put us in misery. In other words, they create a kind of foolishness in the individual that drives him to say and do foolish things. Another way in which wisdom keepers fulfill their responsibility is to inspire. For instance, they instill a sense of arrogance and superiority in an individual, and that arrogance causes his collapse. Humankind is not aware of the details or the manner in which the law of reflection manages divine wisdom. For instance, one of the rewards of positive inner desires is love. The timing and manner of the experience of love are not by choice. That is, it does not flow from a person's decision and awareness of the manner of its occurrence. It is divine wisdom that drives a person to experience love to achieve a level of kamal and maturity. Moreover, when divine wisdom requires a wisdom keeper to play the role of answering a person's negative desire, that role is beyond human will or choice. This being only leads the individual to circumstances that correspond with his negative thoughts, words, and actions, negative and nar desires. Therefore, this category of type A beings, contrary to trial keeper, do not operate by human invitation or suggestion. 20. As retribution keepers, the internal states of humankind can be categorized into two main groups, positive and negative. Positive states include feelings of hope, happiness, and calm, whereas negative states comprise destructive feelings such as fear, guilt, anxiety, loneliness, and sadness. Being in a negative state underlies many psychological, mental, somatic, and psychosomatic disorders. Such outcomes occur because in this state, a category of type A non-organic beings called retribution keepers can penetrate a person's mind and cause these illnesses. 111 maturity and kamal bring us under the divine forces, causing positive feelings and a positive state. However, if an individual experiences the second group of feelings for any reason, he has fallen under satanic forces, and so retribution keepers influence his mind. Further, committing any offenses to emits negative radiation that attracts retribution keepers. Although the offender may be in a state of calm and happiness, the negative radiation emission attracts this category of non-organic beings. In this instance, the offense is not being in a negative state. It is essential that while remaining in a positive state, humankind utilize these feelings in the path to Kamal and in the direction of positive thoughts and actions, and not commit an offense in a state of happiness, contentment, and calm. Therefore, a person's encounter with retribution keepers may begin in a negative psychological state or a positive state wherein he commits an offense. This category of non-organic beings can cause retribution in different forms, similar to universe keepers and direction keeper. Whole Weaver, their role in managing divine retribution is of great importance. Divine retribution occurs by various natural laws in the material world. For instance, the collective consciousness radiation of all mankind affects the entire material world and can change and determine its form. If this result is negative, its response from the material world is negative for all. This negative response that results from the overall offenses of human society puts all living beings in an unpleasant condition and represents divine retribution. In addition, the evolution of civilizations in human societies has caused an increasing tendency toward imposing forms of order that increase human conflict with the natural world. This desire for extreme order causes a rebellion of the subconscious part of the human mind against order. This rebellion in turn causes increasing social disorder such as vandalism and robbery and personal inclinations towards sadistic and masochistic behavior. In other words, disregarding natural laws, such as the universe's law of order and disorder 1, creates problems that can also be considered divine retribution. Any disturbance caused by type A non-organic beings, on the basis of their role in the material world and resulting from humankind's wrongdoing, is a form of divine retribution. Among these, the retribution keeper's intervention reveals divine retribution. These disturbances may include arousing various kinds of compulsive and obsessive behaviors, hallucinations, paranoia, and multiple personality disorder. They may also cause annoyance by misplacing or loss of a person's belongings. The misplacing of objects can also occur from intervention by captivation keepers or by any type A non-organic being who imitates humankind in using physical objects. These beings can also possess a person's mind and cause an individual to move an object to an unlikely and inappropriate location from which he has difficulty retrieving the object when needed.